In this interview, I'm going to be talking to Ed Hirs, who teaches economics at the University of Houston, and we're going to be talking about the Dallas Fed Energy Survey, which shows that maybe American oil production is starting a terminal decline. So, Ed, welcome to the interview.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Give us kind of an overview of what the survey said.
Well, this is a follow-on survey they do quarterly. Um, the big one in December of 2024 pointed out that most of the independent oil companies are not going to be drilling wells unless the price of West Texas Intermediate is $70 a barrel and visible at that price level going forward on the forward curve. This survey, which was just released a couple of days ago, points that out. The production is down. We've seen a plateauing across U.S. oil fields, but in particular in West Texas, we've seen the rig count down several dozen now over this time last year. And we're also seeing the respondents to the survey talk about much higher oil field services cost, labor and equipment. And of course, part of the equipment is the tariff war that the president has unleashed, 50% tariffs on steel and on aluminum. And, that's pretty much what keeps the oil patch running and operating: steel, aluminum, equipment, labor.
Well, let's talk about labor because the crackdown on immigration or undocumented immigrants by ICE has generated a lot of interest, and of course, most of the news stories have focused on things like California vegetable production, that sort of thing. But I spent 5 years working in the American oil and gas sector, and in Texas, I remember in West Texas, most of the field workers who were working on the rigs were Mexican, and they were from Mexican. They were immigrants. So, what has the crackdown by ICE in Texas done to labor in the U.S. Sort of the Texas oil field?
Well, as the Department of Homeland Security says, it's led to a lot of self-deportations, workers picking up their families and going back to Mexico. I don't have a specific quantifiable number for this. Um, the labor pool is diminishing across the Permian for sure, New Mexico, as the drill baby drill comes apart because of the price war that's being led by OPEC Plus and the Saudis. Um, there was, $65 a barrel more or less right now. That's not enough to justify new investment. And the oil field services, as pointed out by the Dallas Fed survey, have felt the pain first. If there's an opportunity to regain services, if the price were to jump to $80, $85 a barrel, then maybe we'd see a real bind on the labor side. But we're not, and we're not going to. OPEC Plus is meeting today, tomorrow, having a call. They want to increase production significantly more. It's a price war. It's going to hurt the Permian Basin tremendously. Labor costs are up for those wells that are going to maintain operation. But that's a challenge across all of Texas. It's just not the ag workers. It's just not the oil patch. It's the roofers, the contractors, the highway repairs. Coincident with the tariff war, we're seeing costs go up in terms of equipment, materials, and now labor.
Um, Ed, the last time that OPEC unleashed a price war was late 2014 and into 2015 and 2016. And I know, speaking for the Canadian industry, it was devastating. We saw very low prices, $20, $25 a barrel, big layoffs. A lot of companies lost billions of dollars for a year or two. Are we looking at that same kind of a price war and its effects?
Yes, we are. We certainly are. Um, the Saudis are gunning for market share. They can drill wells, bring them online at less than $25 a barrel of cost. They know that the break even in the Permian is in the 65 to $75 a barrel range. They certainly know that they don't have to compete with any new wells in the Permian at prices less than $70 a barrel. So they're going to squeeze the U.S. oil patch and deliver what President Trump has asked for: lower oil prices, lower fuel prices.
Are we seeing a question or a case of unintended consequences where Donald Trump came into power on January 20th, drill baby drill, get prices down, and all he's done is, you know, kneecap the domestic industry?
Well, that's exactly what's happening. The president knows there are about 170 million registered voters in this nation. He also knows that there are only about 2 million people who work in oil and gas, and it's the votes he's counting on. Secretary Chris Wright with the Department of Energy is releasing one video after another, and one has to probably have a little empathy for him because number one, the Department of Energy has nothing to do with drilling for oil or drilling for natural gas, nothing to do with electricity power plants and building them and investing. But he's the president's cheerleader on this.
Well, Ed, thank you very much. We'll get back to you in the coming months to see how this price war is playing out, but it doesn't spell good news for the North American economy.
Coupled with the price war, we've got a softening global economy. It could be a really bad second half of the year for the oil patch.
Thank you very much, Ed.
Thank you, Mark.